Hello all, welcome back to my channel. Please like, subscribe and press the bell icon to get notified of the upcoming videos. In today's session, I'll be taking a medium level Leetcode problem of finding the number of subarrays with sum equals to k. Let's first understand the problem statement with the help of an example. So here is an array of size 6, indexes start from 0 to 5 and the value of k is 5. So we have to find the number of subarrays for which the sum of elements equals to 5. So there are two subarrays here. One is this subarray starting from index 3 and ending at index 4, and the other one is this subarray starting at index 1 and ending at the index number 5. So whenever any question is given, what's the first approach or what's the first thing that comes to our mind? Let's start with the brute force approach. So in brute force approach, what you're going to do? You're going to have two for loops starting. So this would be your I and this would be your j. So you will compare each and you will have constant I and increment j one by one and take the sum. Okay, if it is summing up to the value equal to k, you will increment the counter. Then you will increment your I by 1 and similarly you will keep on incrementing the j and again find. So basically what we are doing is we are finding all the subarrays, all the pairs in this array, not just the pairs, it could be triplets, quadruplets, everything in the brute force approach and taking their sum and figuring out if it is equals to k, then we are incrementing the count. But let me tell you one thing, most array related problems can be solved in either big O n time or even less than that. The brute force approach will take time complexity of big O n square. We will solve this problem in big O n time complexity using hash map concept. We will keep a running sum and store that as a key in the hash map. Its corresponding value will tell the number of subarrays that have sum equals to the key. So in this array, what would be the running sum? So the running sum at index 0 would be 3. At index 1 it is 12. Then at index 2 it is 10. So basically what we are doing is we are just adding the number, we are just adding the element to the sum. Then at this index it is 14, 15 and then it is 8. So this is what is your running sum. We will be storing this running sum in the hash map. Now what we want to do is whenever at any point, let's say at this point, when your running sum is 15, you want to know whether any subarray exists in this given array whose sum equals to k. So what we are doing is we are saying that, okay, let's say this is the index 0, this is the index 4, 0, and let's say this entire sum is x. So we are saying that at any point of time, if the running sum is x and there exists a sum equals to x minus k, then we got to know that, okay, this is the subarray whose sum will equals to be k. So we know x, right? We are keeping a count of the, or we are keeping the, storing the running sum. Okay, so we know x. We know k as that is already given in the question. Now the point is, if somehow we come to know what is x minus k at any index I, we will be able to count the subarrays which will sum up to k. So we will get this value with the help of a hash map. Now I'll tell you how. So this is our running sum. This is what your x is. We know k. So at any point of time, what is the remaining sum? That also we will calculate. So remaining sum at index 0 is minus 2. At index 12 it is, sorry, at index 1 it is how much? 12 minus 5, 7. 10 minus 5, 5. 14 minus 5, 9. Then here it is 10 and then here it is 3. Okay. So we have two things. One is the running sum and the other is the remaining sum. Now I'll tell you how we are going to proceed with the hash map concept. So in the hash map, I'll always, let's say this is the key and this is the value. I'll always have key as a 0 and the value would be 1. Basically this is saying that even before starting iterating the array, we are saying that there exists a sum 0. There exists one subarray. This value means this is the count of the number of subarrays. Okay, so with this, we'll always start. Now, what we are going to do is, we are calculating the running sum. Okay, does this value is already present in the map? If yes, then we are just going to increment the value by 1. If not, then we are going to insert a new value. And what would be the role of this remaining sum? At any point, we are going to check if the remaining sum also exists in this hash map or not. If it does exist, then we know, okay, we have encountered one subarray. So we will have a variable as a count. This will denote the value of the number of subarrays. So we'll initialize it with the 0, let's say, okay. Now let's start with this example only. So you have encountered 3. Does 3 exist? No, it does not. So I'm going to insert it. At the same point, does -2 exist? No. At index number 1, the running sum is 12 and the remaining sum is 7. I'll first check the remaining sum. Does it exist? No. Then I'll check for the remaining running sum. 12. Does it exist? No. I'll insert a new entry. At index number 2, my remaining sum is 5. Does it exist? No. Running sum is 10. I'll insert a new entry. At index number 3, running sum is 14, whereas the remaining sum is 9. 9 exists? No. 14 also does not exist. At index number 4, remaining sum is 10. Does 10 exist? Yes, it does exist. So, I'll increment the value of count by 1. Sorry, it wouldn't be by 1. Basically, I'll add the value, whatever is present in the map. So, the value present in map was 1. So, my counter value has been incremented by 1. And 15 does exist? No, 15 does not exist. So I'll create a new entry. Now at index number 5, my remaining sum is 3. Does 3 exist? Yes, it was already existing and the value there was 1. So I'm going to add 1 to it. So the counter value becomes 2. Also, what was the running sum here is? The running sum was 8. So does 8 exist? No. So I'm just going to add a new value for. I'll explain the algorithm as well once. So it would be count subarrays. There would be 2 input parameters. One is the array itself and the other would be the k, or how much the count that we want. The return type for this would be int. So there would be 2 things. One is the sum equals to 0. There would be a map and we are going to start with 0, 1. We'll be having a for loop from int I equals to 0 to n. N would be the length of the array that you will have to initialize. Length of the array. And in this for loop, what we are going to say is, so this sum means the running sum. Let me put it like running sum only for your easiness. So running sum at any point would be what? Running sum plus array of I. There would be a remaining sum. So remaining sum would be running sum minus k. Then we are going to check if map contains the remaining sum. If map dot contains k, remaining sum, if it is yes, then what we are going to do is we are going to increment the count. So we will have a count as well. We'll initialize it to 0. And so what we are going to do is we are going to add the value to the count. Map dot get value for the remaining sum. This value we are going to add in the count. So after we have checked the remaining sum, the next step was to add the entry for the running sum in the map. So for that, we are first going to calculate if or get the value for the running sum in the map, whether it exists or not. So what we are going to do is get or default running sum comma 0. So what it is going to do is, if running sum exists, then it is going to give the value. Otherwise, it is going to default to 0. And then we are going to put it in the map. Map dot put the running sum, comma, it would be frequency plus 1. This marks the end of the for loop, and then we are just going to return the count. And this marks the end of the method count subarrays. Thank you for watching. Do comment if you have any doubt.